Welcome to the Fat2Fit HQ podcast. I'm your guest host, TJ Goche, and with me are Caroline Miner, JT, and Carol. In this podcast, we are chronicling our journeys from fat to fit. We talk about pursuing healthier lifestyle, not only in diet, but in all areas of life.
Awesome, TJ Goche. Good job. Am I saying your name right, Goche?
Yep.
Okay, how do you get that? How do you get that with the TH and all that's in your name?
It's French.
Oh. How nice. Aren't we intercontinental today with Caroline and, well, me and JT?
Well, I'm not French.
Well, Louisiana is as close to a foreign country as we have.
Yep.
Right? Especially when you're Texan.
That's right.
Right. Welcome, everybody. TJ, thanks for introing us.
Hey, no problem, Carol.
Awesome. You're from the Firearms Network, too, though. Which show? Tell us about. I see your We Like Shooting shirt. And
yeah.
I know you're from The Insider, but tell, just real quick before everybody introduces themselves and you intro us, tell people who you are and a tiny bit about yourself. More than
okay. Well, for the Firearms Radio Network, I'm a frequent host on the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review podcast, and I do a lot of stuff on the Gun and Gear Review website. But a little about myself, I guess. I'm 23 from Louisiana, and just kind of, I don't know. I don't have too many hobbies other than shooting and stuff like that, but I don't know. Not too much to brag about myself, I guess.
Recently married, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 years now, I guess.
Wow, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And the babies? Where are the babies?
Just 2 pups.
I'm gonna be that older person in your life going, so when are you gonna have kids?
Well, you're not the only one.
I know I'm not. I bet. Okay, that's awesome. And TJ and I are very close virtual friends.
Yeah.
With all this nut stuff. Okay, so then Caroline, can you tell folks who you are?
I am a school nurse in the Spring Branch ISD, and my main interest, apart from looking after sick kids, is really health and food, nutrition, wellness, and fitness. And that's why I'm here, I guess.
Yeah, because you're my real life friend, and the closest to the level of neurotic that
craziness.
Right.
That's why we're BFFs.
Right.
Broken favorite friend.
We do. Whenever I talk about me and my friend Caroline and my friend Caroline and I and me and my friend, that's who I'm talking about. My love. Like my Valentine, Caroline.
That's right.
Okay. And then, of course, JT. And welcome, TJ, both of you. And my co-host, JT.
Hey, everybody.
We don't need to intro you. You're
a superstar.
I'm a regular.
We get awesome feedback whenever you're on the show. So,
oh, great.
Quit your traveling because people love hearing from you. So that's great. Well, welcome, everybody. And I appreciate you guys coming on for this Whole 30 recap show. So we're all going to have to tell a little bit about I really wanted JT to join because he's been talking about maybe doing a Whole 30 soon, so I like that he's probably going to have some authentic, I've not done this questions or comments, or we're just where you're starting from, JT. But TJ suggested back in December that, hey, if we're going to start with momentum January 1, doing something different, who wants to do a Whole 30? And many people did it with you. And Caroline jumped the gun and started 5 days ahead of us. So that's fantastic. If y'all don't mind, there are a couple of people that can't be here, and I want to read some feedback. They've already told me that I can. And so Susan Hall, who is somebody in our community, and followed us on the Facebook page that TJ put for the Whole 30, not Facebook page, for the MyFitnessPal community. He opened a thread where we could just talk about it all 30 days. So this is some feedback from Susan Hall, and then I'm going to read something that I got from another listener that ties in as well. Let's see. Okay, of course I'm going to have to edit this because I didn't get to the exact right place. Here we go. I proved that I could. Here we go. On my 30. I ended up losing 15.8 pounds. Let me make sure that's where she wants me to start. First of all, I'm so thankful that I joined the MyFitnessPal Fat2Fit group. I would have never attempted a Whole30 on my own, even though I have owned the book for almost 2 years. I always thought that there was no way I could be that strict with my diet. Well, I did it, and I can honestly say that I am proud of myself. That is saying a lot because mostly I just beat myself up about failing in my attempt to get healthy. I ended up losing 15.8 pounds on the Whole30. This is the most I have lost in such a long time. I think I had a weight loss stall the whole year of 2014. Well, to tell you the truth, it was a stall and a gain. I had lost around 70 pounds since August 2012 when I started eating Primal, but then I got stuck in 2014 and ended up gaining back almost 20 pounds. You can imagine my disgust in myself. I had said that I would never go back to being that big. Needless to say, I let myself down big time. So what the Whole30 did was such a lift for me mentally and physically. I proved that I could lose weight if I put my mind to it. I really don't have any negatives to doing the Whole30 except for the fact that I did miss my cheese. There are many positives though. Overall, I felt better than I have in many years. When I eat clean, my joints feel great. I have lots of energy, I sleep better, but most of all, my depression is almost non-existent.
Wow.
I've suffered from depression on and off for most of my adult life, and it's very important to me to manage it without medication. I know when I eat well and feel great, so it is a mystery to me of why I ever slip. I know when I eat well, I feel great, so it's a mystery to me as to why I ever slip back into eating junk. I think the Whole30 way has lessened my depressive symptoms more than when I was just eating Primal. It may have to do with cutting out dairy. It's really weird, but going a month without dairy made me feel, quote, lighter. And I don't mean weight-wise, even though I did lose weight. It's a little hard to explain, but I didn't feel as bogged down or heavy. I felt light on my feet, and it was easier to exercise and not get tired right away like I normally do. I hate to say it, but I really may have a problem with dairy. Okay, so now she's reintroduced. I have reintroduced it since the end of Whole30, and it is not going well. I feel heavy again. My face is broken out really bad, and I really have had a couple of bad days mentally. So she goes on to tell us that now she thinks she wants to do another Whole30 again because it really proved a lot to herself, and she's in that reintroducing phase where she's starting to see that some of those key things, you know, they really recommend that you reintroduce one thing at a time, and if everything's cool, any benefits you got, well, that thing's probably cool with you depending how much you're having, you know. So interesting. I want to just say kudos to Susan Hall on so
That's
many
amazing.
levels. But you
That is
guys
amazing.
respond. Y'all go ahead and respond to anything that in that email resonated with you. Maybe we can start with TJ, since you introduced us to trying a Whole30. We can, and then we'll talk about our experiences too, kind of as a result of what Susan's experienced.
Okay. Yeah. First, I want to say congrats on the loss because that's a huge loss, and it's really impressive. And I know it helps to get yourself back in the right frame of mind. And honestly, though, with the no side effect or no negatives, I guess that's really awesome because most people, it seems, talk about how they'll have headaches and all this kind of stuff for the first week or two, and that's really cool that you didn't. So I'm kind of jealous because I did myself. And as far as the dairy, I think kind of similar to me, the dairy kind of has a similar problem where I just kind of feel weird, you know, just kind of funky. You know, it's not necessarily like a I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it doesn't like shut down my body or anything. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
It doesn't shut me down or, you know, put me in stomach cramps and stuff like that when I eat it, but I do feel it more than probably most other things.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? That she's able to pinpoint something that's having some kind of effect. She may be just amounts or what time of day or whatever, but there's obviously some effect. Caroline, what did you think? Thank you, TJ. That's interesting.
I just wondered with her, with the dairy, what is it with dairy? Is it the milk proteins, or is it the antibiotics in a lot of the dairy? What is it that people are sensitive to? Or is it just it's something different for each person? You lactose intolerant? What's going on with her? But it's interesting that she found out that it was that one thing in particular, and not necessarily the grains or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so.
It might be interesting to know. It might be interesting to know what the source of the dairy is. Like if it's milk, it's hard to tell, right? But if she added back in, grass-fed butter or something like that, if she still had the same, if she didn't have the same response, then I think it would say that it was probably, casing related or something like that, because the grass-fed butter is so different than grain-fed. So I don't know. I know this when people talk about. I didn't do Whole30, but I have, as Carol knows, eliminated dairy for periods of time, and I have it has the reverse effect of me. I don't like it.
Dairy's just fine with Jack.
No, and I'm not. I mean, especially, and it's really limited. Not limited, but it's just the coffee thing. I mean, this morning I put coconut milk in my coffee, and I used the canned stuff, like the fat stuff, the full fat coconut milk, not the watered down stuff, and it's still not heavy cream. I don't care. It's not. It's not the same.
I'm with you. I had a black Whole30 kind of coffee with Caroline this morning, and our friend Lo, who's on day 20 of her Whole30 and rocking it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we were at Starbucks, and I'm sitting there drinking this old shoe. It's not the AeroPress that you sent me, TJ. It's not the coffee the way I like it, and I'm like, would it be better mentally for me to just have a little dairy, enjoy my coffee, and stop obsessing about how bad this coffee is? But I don't know, because I'm not at the point where I'm reintroducing dairy yet. What's funny to me is that we all geeked out real quick on her email about, okay, so the weight loss and the headaches, and Caroline talked about the milk protein, and Jack, you talked about the source, and I was about to say, has she tried raw milk? I mean, there's all kinds of some people that say the raw milk is different. And that it's very interesting, because the big picture to me, and I'm sure to y'all too, is wow, the power that Susan has right now, just knowing, who knows what it is, but I can tinker with dairy now to figure out, maybe I try clarified butter, maybe I try this kind of cheese. But for years she was like stalled and feeling like the food has more control over me than I have over the food. And that's not who just wrote that.
Right.
The person who just wrote that is like, whoa, now I got to put the brakes on it, because this one thing I got to figure out how to deal with this dairy thing.
And the focus is turned too. The focus is turned from not just the weight loss, but the information that she's gained from this. Like you said, it's become almost as important as the weight loss to her.
Yeah.
I think culturally we focus on what we, because people who diet, we focus on what we can't have, and so that's why we zoom right in on dairy or whatever. But I'm looking at this list on my phone, Carol, that you had sent me when you just started, and there's a shopping list for Whole30, and I actually took a picture of it, and I keep it on my phone just in the photo just to look at. And when you look at it, it doesn't look that limiting to me. It just looks like clean eating to me. And so when I think about Whole30, I look at it and I go, I may not be eating Whole30 all the time, but I'm at least 3/4 30. I mean,
You're Whole 27. No, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'm looking at this list, and it just looks like a healthy diet to me, based on what we all know to be healthy. Now, there's not this over-the-top emphasis on fat and all that kind of stuff that sometimes we get a little wacky about. But I'm looking at it, and I think to the extent that you want to have show notes, this one little shopping list is pretty cool because it's just good food. That's all it is.
Absolutely, I will put the shopping list in there.
yeah. There's a ton of links on Whole30's website. If you go, it's just WHOLE3030.com,
Oh yeah.
and they have a ton of I guess kind of resources on there for you to downloadables. If you just want a PDF to print it out and just hang on your wall at work or something like that. They just have tons of stuff for you to go over. And I guess we kind of maybe skipped right over. Should we go over maybe what the I guess rules are? Before we get
No,
too deep?
people can figure that out. We haven't figured it. No, I'm just kidding. Please
Let's not help them.
please do, TJ. You want to give just like not every single rule, but generally
Yeah,
what it is?
I'll just read this first little part from their website. It says the Whole30 program rules. The yeses, and it says eat real food, eat meat, seafood, eggs, tons of vegetables, some fruit, and plenty of good fats from fruits, oils, nuts, and seeds. And so that's your goal, is that shopping list that Jack talked about. That's all different variations of that kind of stuff. And it tells you which ones would be better. If you're going to buy certain, if you're looking for meat, it tells you which meat would be slightly better than which ones, just to get the full benefit of it. And the no category, which is things to avoid for 30 days, it says do not consume added sugar of any kind, real or artificial, and that includes the maple syrup, honey, and agave nectar that a lot of people like to use. There's Splenda, stevia, all that stuff that a lot of people use, and I think that is mostly to get away from the crutch that some people have, where they still get the sweet cravings because they still have sweet, but it might not be the worst sweet that they're having, but it might lead them to the donut a little quicker than having something real right there. And then it says do not consume alcohol in any form, not even for cooking. Do not eat grains, legumes, dairy. Do not consume carrageenan, which I have no clue what that was, so I honestly might have broken that rule, just out of negligence, I guess. And then
Right, my ignorance.
MSG and sulfites, which I know they put a lot of sulfites in a lot of different sausages and bacon, so that one might be a little harder to get around also. And it says the last rule is do not try to recreate baked goods, junk foods, and treats with approved ingredients, and that's things kind of like your paleo cupcakes and similar stuff like that. You don't want to be making these whole humongous cakes and thinking, oh, it's safe, because they're just trying to get you out of that I guess kind of habit.
Mentality.
Yeah, there you go.
Addiction.
Yeah.
Right. And also, Carol, this is your big rule. You're not allowed to step on a scale or take any body measurements for the duration of the program. And I think that is to kind of break that relationship with the scale and let you focus more on what's happening to your body rather than to that scale, because a lot of people, maybe nothing happens for the first few days, and then you just get discouraged and just derail, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the no scale rule is a pretty good way, pretty good rule, I believe.
So for you guys who did it, what were the results? Like Carol, and I'd like to hear you had to weigh before you started or measure before you started. So what was the reality of, in Caroline's case, I guess it was Whole35. She's 5 days early. But what happened?
I'll just give a real brief. I did step on the scale because we were doing another challenge where we had to weigh in every Friday, and I do believe that is a great rule because it changes your relationship with the scale. The scale doesn't decide if you're having a good day, like Anna Pacino told us. And so I didn't technically do the Whole30 because if you step on the scale, you are supposed to start over on day one. I agree. So I really always kept saying, I'm just eating the way Whole30 people eat. And I'm doing a scale challenge with Jack pretty soon here where we won't be stepping on the scale for a very long time. I'm at least going to challenge you, Jack, because I think there's a lot of healthy benefits, not just from getting discouraged, like TJ said, but Anyway, I got better about the scale, but big results from eating that way for me was over the 30 days, I lost 10 pounds. I the biggest thing was just like Susan was saying, I'm in situations now where I'm looking at food so much differently. We had birthday cake at school at work the other day, and I would normally have just a little sliver because that's not going to hurt me, and it might not. But the fact that I'm not ready to introduce sugar again yet or dairy, I'm just going to wait because I feel really good right now. I'm not sluggish anymore. Even with not enough sleep, I'm not sluggish. I feel great. I have energy past 2 or 3 o'clock, and I'm trying to pinpoint what it was about my diet. So all the power that comes with that was huge for me. Caroline, talk about your and then we'll go back to TJ. What benefits did you find from eating that way for 30 days?
I think the main thing, the best thing about it for me is knowing that I can be in control. And even now, the 30 days has been over for 20 days, that I'm still eating a whole lot better than I was eating before. I still haven't reintroduced cookies, chips, candy, anything like that. I haven't gone back to the way I was eating before the whole 30. And I haven't really had a desire to do that. I haven't really had like a craving to eat sweets and to eat processed food. So I'm still eating really clean, although I've introduced things. I'm eating oats, like as in oatmeal. I eat like chickpeas, garbanzo beans, those kind of legumes, like healthy things. But I've not really had the desire to go back to that other way of eating because I feel really great now. I lost 4 pounds, but that wasn't really my goal. My goal was to change my relationship with sugar and my obsession with, I was like an addict with things with sugar in. I love fruit, and I still eat fruit, but I'm not chasing down the cupcakes and the cookies and eating one here and a little candy there. And one other thing that I've noticed that I hadn't really thought about was I used to get a lot of mouth like canker sores when I was eating a lot of grain. I don't get that anymore. And I don't know if that's to do with the grain or not, but I've read that people with gluten sensitivity have a lot of canker sores, and I don't know if that's it or not, but there's something to do with it there. And that was just like a random thing that I kind of noticed. But overall, I thought it was great. I was amazed that I could sustain it because I thought I could never sustain anything for that long. For 30 days seemed to me like a lifetime. And it was manageable, and the food was, to me, really, really healthy. And I've just had like a total overhaul with my pantry and with the refrigerator. I have that naughty shelf on the top where I can't reach it, where my 6'5" husband can get up there and get his junk if he wants it, but I don't get up there. So, so it's just been a positive thing all over, and I really would recommend it to anybody to try it. I think it's been really, really good. Just a lot of positives, no negatives.
I love it. I love hearing, because I get to hear Caroline. She was a few days ahead of us, so that was very inspiring to me. And just the support from other people who are doing it or have done it. And I know that Caroline works in an office where there's some front desk girls right outside her office, and I've been hearing this story for years where they're like her dealers. They hold little pieces of candy, and Caroline must come ask for the candy so that she could have a piece of candy, and that limits how much candy she could have. But she's still out there going, come on, where is it? You know, just a battle with the craving for the sweets. So to watch her over 30 days, at the beginning where it's really hard for the first 10 days, and then see her empowerment just ahead of me was fantastic. And now 20 days later, and she's still not out there asking them for the candy. Crazy.
It's been good. It's great. It makes you feel so good that you've got it's in you somewhere to do it, but sometimes you just need to kind of wake that up.
Well, what's interesting is, and Carol, you and I joke occasionally about how the intro to this podcast talks about diet, exercise, and other areas of life, and we don't ever talk about the other areas of life. But the truth is I think that that's really one of the most profound things that's happened. As I've been more aware of nutrition and diet, is that how it does impact other areas of life. Like you talk about how you feel, and the review or the message that you read at the beginning of the podcast talked about depression and all these things. And I think that there's so many people that focus on the vanity side of diet and nutrition, when I would tell you that that's a byproduct of what the real benefit is, which is how you feel when you're eating clean and right. It's the fountain of youth in many ways, and your head gets clearer. And that's the part that I just think that is overlooked by people that are just chasing the next pant size down, which is what I did for every time I ever dieted up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and your success has been incredible, but like Caroline's saying, it changes your focus. It's
Right.
not just the food anymore. And that's what you're saying, and I totally agree, although I'm going to be honest, a huge part of it is vanity. Until and then when I lose sight and I gain weight, in retrospect, you're like, God, it was so many more areas of my life that were bogged down too. And I totally agree.
But Caroline said she was down 4 pounds and that wasn't really the goal, right? So that shows that there's other things, other reasons to do it, other than just, weight loss or whatever.
Right, and breaking the habits. I think breaking your bad habits that you have, that's the one thing. And I always think, for TJ, this is not going to matter right now, but as you age, who's going to be in control of your body? Who do you want to be in control of you? You want to be in control of you, or you want the doctors and pills to be in control of you? And I know that's my that's my choice, is for me to be the boss of me, not for me to have to rely on somebody else to do all that for me. So something to think ahead for.
Yeah.
What about you, TJ? Because that's amazing what Caroline said, and I'm going to write that down, and that's going to be my motto about who's in control of me. But at 23, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, actually, I have haven't been doing this for such a long time. Like a lot of people kind of get in that loop of that diet cycle or whatever the experts call it. But I've been doing that for a while, but I've been kind of doing it somewhat for the last 2 or 3 years even. But yeah, I agree with Caroline. I'm the kind of person that I hate even taking, I've got a headache. I don't even want to take ibuprofen or something like that, just because I hate taking just putting things into my body that I'm like, I could do without it. I'll wait for the headache to go away, kind of thing. Drink some water and let it run its course, kind of thing. But so even I couldn't imagine having to live on prescriptions and stuff. So that's kind of what sets me to try to get everything straight now before I have to worry about it too much later.
Well, that's very forward thinking at 23. That wasn't even on my radar. I mean, I wish it had been. I probably wouldn't be with some of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jack. So you watched us go through this, and thank you again, TJ, for throwing the challenge out there. I really drew on that support. Like Susan said, Susan did it along with us, and all of us kind of just posting daily about it and talking about it, and Caroline was talking to me about it, so I think there was a support factor there for everybody. But
yeah, there was a good bit of people that joined in. Honestly, I lost track of who all was joining in and who all had. I thought people were in it, and they're like, "No, I'm just doing something different," and then so I just got myself confused.
Yeah, I know John Ellis, Senior, John Hammerjammer. He's done many, so he did it along with us because hey, it's time for another Whole30 again. This would be good for me. So
yeah, I think I missed the post where he said he was joining in because I saw where he said, "Yeah, I'm not doing it, but I'll support you guys because I've done it before," and then. And then suddenly
he's this way, though.
Yeah, eventually he was just like, all right, I'm on day 15. And I was like, oh, you started? I didn't even realize he was running it along with us. But like you said,
he is us down the road. If we keep going, okay, you know what, I got a little off track. Let me do another Whole30. And this is the way I generally eat anyway. And that's why I wanted, yeah, I think it's fantastic. And Jack, you kept saying, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. What is holding you back? Or do you think there would be any benefit even? Because like you said, you already eat pretty clean.
I don't know. There's a couple things. I have a real issue with the scale. It's not an issue. I don't mean that in a bad way. To me, it's the speedometer. I mean, how do you drive the speed limit, if you can't see how fast you're going? And to me, it's accountability. So when I step on the scale, I don't get all whacked out over the fact that Thursday was 1.5 pounds less than Friday, because I know that water and all that. I don't get all weird, other than we're in this weight loss challenge, and it kind of bothered me that I was up on one day that we weigh in, but I look at the scale as driving without a speedometer, because I'm worried about the damage that could be done in 30 days without looking at the speedometer. How fast would I be going when I stepped on it 30 days later? And other than that, the dairy thing, I've done it weeks at a time, and I think I could probably not do that. And the rest of it is really, really similar. I mean, there's really nothing. I probably eat less fruit than most, because it's the sugar. I eat berries occasionally, and I don't do grains at all. I don't. So when I look at it,
you're almost there.
I'm almost there. So I don't. So when I do ask myself the question, what would be the difference? The alcohol could be a problem. I always bring that up with Carol. You guys probably think I'm a lush, but when I'm on the, it's a very social thing, and we're social people, and so when we go out and things like that, you wonder what to do, even with your hand. What do you, I've developed props, where I, soda, water, but now where I drink a soda and lime or something like that in lieu of it. But that's not even allowed in our weight loss challenge, so I don't do that. So.
Yeah, Jack, they actually they're on the Whole30 website. You can sign up for a daily newsletter, and every morning they'll send you, day one, and just kind of tell you maybe what to expect and just a little tip for the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And you have to pay for it. I forgot how much it was. I think it was $10 or $15, but it was a really good resource, because you just be able to read and see where, if you're thinking, oh man, X is happening, Y is this happening, is it only me? And then you get this email in the morning and you say, oh yeah, that's a normal thing, it's going to pass tomorrow, that kind of thing.
It was cool, like about the dreams and stuff.
Yeah, it was nuts. I think it was day 2 or the night of day 2.
I think it was 4.
Yeah, okay. Because I know I told Carol, I think I even posted it in our MyFitnessPal group. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Because I had a dream. I don't remember exactly. I forgot about it, or I would have pulled it up on MyFitnessPal.
You dreamt that you broke your Whole30, that you ate food that wasn't Whole30.
It wasn't even like I accidentally ate like a burger. I'm pretty sure like I was like, oh, there's a whole loaf of bread, there's a whole box of donuts, and like I was so upset with myself in the dream. Like I was consciously mad at myself in the dream, but I just kept doing it. I'm like, stop, and then I couldn't just stop, but obviously it's a dream, so it just, weird things happen. And then I just thought it was kind of a weird one-off thing, and that same morning my wife woke up and she said basically the same thing. She had a similar dream. Now my wife didn't do it with me the entire time, but she stuck to it probably most of the time, and so she did eat some of the off-program things, I guess you could say, but for the most part, I'm the one that cooks anyways, so for the most part, if I don't cook it, she doesn't eat it. So if I'm not cooking stuff with bread and pasta and stuff, generally she's not eating that stuff, but she'll make stuff on the side. But I thought it was crazy that we both had the same dream, same type of dream on the same exact night, like 3 or 4 days in.
And then the Whole30 newsletter that day said you may start experiencing bizarre dreams about food that day.
That night, yeah.
Oh my!
I know, and a lot of people were posting, "Oh my God, that's me too." It really interesting.
They even have a forum that you can follow, which I didn't go into because I just usually when I get into forums, I kind of go like head first, and I just get lost, and I'll end up getting distracted and not do anything productive the entire day if I get distracted by a forum too much. So I just try to stay away from them now. But so the forum kind of, you can discuss those things with people that are going through it or have gone through it, and so I think they just have really good resources.
That's awesome. Hey, TJ, I think that string, maybe your earbuds, is hitting your microphone or something. Are y'all hearing that, or is that just me?
Yeah.
Okay, I raised it up a little bit, so maybe it won't hit it.
Okay.
So why is it limited to? I mean, is the because I think that people who do Whole30, Melissa in Dallas is right. Isn't that who it is?
Yeah, Melissa in Dallas.
So
Harvard.
is it supposed to be a? I mean, it's not supposed to technically stop, right? I mean, this is the way. I mean, it's a start. It's an experiment, but isn't it not their hope? But isn't the ultimate goal that you should just eat this way all the time?
Right. I think they kind of frame it as a kickstart. You know, you start yourself new and then just continue on, and then maybe if you're the kind of person you think maybe the legumes don't bother you, and so you go and you eat some legumes and they don't bother you, well, throw those in if you want, you know, that kind of thing. It's more of a, I don't know if necessarily they particularly want you to go the entire program for the rest of your life, that kind of thing, but they want you to see why certain things are happening,
Right.
like the email at the beginning. If if you're eating dairy, legumes, grains, and all that stuff, and you feel like garbage, you don't know why. But if you eliminate it all, eat some dairy one day, and then you get that same feeling without all the other stuff, then you can help narrow it down and say that's your problem. So I think that's a lot of the thing, because a lot of people don't have problems with dairy, so they just kind of, I guess it's a way to get you to assess your situation, I suppose.
Same
And I
thing with
don't
your
think,
scale. Go ahead, Caroline.
sorry, I don't think their whole aim is not necessarily weight loss.
Right.
That's
Right.
not really what they're about. So for some people, they might see that as not really what they're looking for at the moment. They're not looking to heal themselves. They're looking to lose pounds. And for a lot of
Mhm.
people, it's not going to resonate right now because they're not going to be on the scale. They're not going to see the weight loss they want to see. But I think in the long term, getting to know yourself is a whole lot more useful than losing a couple of pounds. But it's not going to be for everyone right now.
Right, and then the scale factor that they mentioned, don't get on the scale and don't take any body measurements. Just take cues from your body and see what's going on. And I actually have to be honest, a couple weeks in, I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I could actually tell that I had lost weight just by looking at myself. Hadn't seen the scale in probably 3 weeks, and I look at my face, and I think my face looks a little slimmer. I've never, you see yourself many times a day, so you don't see these changes. Other people may that you don't see but once a week, but you generally don't see changes in yourself. But I looked at myself in the mirror and actually saw a difference, and I think that honestly could be that part of that, getting rid of the scale. Just uh, maybe pay a little more attention to other things versus that number. So I thought that was pretty neat. But then
Yeah.
actually, every now and then, I think pretty close to the beginning, I have the belt that I normally wear is, it's got 7 holes, and when I started this thing, I was on the third hole, and now I'm down to the last hole and
Wow.
probably need
Wow.
to punch a new hole. So
Wow. That's impressive.
Isn't it? And a wonderful non-scale victory. But how many pounds did you lose just because Jack asked and I didn't let you?
it was right at 15 for the month. And then, well, I don't know. It's kind of weird because, like, Jack was talking about how frustrated he gets when he happens to be up on weigh-in day for this challenge. I'm in the same challenge. We started it on the 2nd of January. And so I said, well, New Year's Eve, I'm going to just do whatever. If I'm up, I'm up, whatever. And then we started the Whole30 and this weight loss challenge on the same day. And so I was like, okay, I'll probably way too many s'mores and drinking and having food, whatever. And then I was thinking, I was like, man, I know I'm going to be up 2 or 3 pounds, but like the way I kind of just described it, not to try to game the weight loss challenge. I was like, well, if I gain like 2 or 3 pounds just from that eating that garbage stuff, I'll lose it pretty quick, and maybe I'll like get a little advantage. But then the next morning I step on the scale and I had lost 2 pounds.
After all the s'mores.
Yeah, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I ate like 15 s'mores last night and pizza and chips and dip, and this doesn't make any sense. But from the day before that, so I don't count those 2 pounds, just because I
Interesting.
don't know what the heck happened there. So the day before that, from the day before New Year's Eve to now, I've lost, well, to the end of the whole 30, I had lost 15 pounds, and then till today, I've lost another 3.
Wow, that's
Wow, that's
great.
So you didn't go back, TJ, to your old way of eating.
I haven't been like super um, away from that. Like I started, I guess the kind of first experience I had with this, I did Rob Wolf's paleo, what does he call it? Paleo solution. I did his 30-day meal plan back about 2 years ago now, and since then I've strayed away from kind of the standard American diet, but I've gotten closer and closer back to it since then. So this whole 30 I kind of wanted to use as a way to get back away from all that stuff, and that helped a lot. And I have eaten things that I wouldn't normally eat. Just well, not that I wouldn't normally eat, but I've eaten things that obviously aren't Whole 30, but not nearly as much as I was eating before. So I haven't gone completely back, but I have eaten a few different things just to kind of see how they affected me. And one thing I'm curious, Caroline, I'm not entirely sure what a canker sore is, but I do know that last night I ate some. I think they call them pretzel crisps. They're like flattened pretzels, and some hummus. And this morning I have little bumps in the back of my throat, so I don't know if that's a
Hmm.
similar thing, but I'm not sure if it's some kind of reaction or maybe could be something completely different, and I'm just looking into it too much. But
Hey, what do
Yeah, it's
y'all
good to
think?
know.
I know, I know. And that's an interesting thing, TJ. What do you guys think about like Kiefer's whole thing that if you cut out something like pretzels or bread or grains completely, you are actually starting to make yourself kind of paper thin? And why
hmm.
wouldn't you? That's why his carb night, one of the things about that once a week, have some grains, have something, or really he's trying to, for different reasons. If you're doing it for weight loss, that insulin spike is not a bad thing once a week. But I've also heard him talk about gluten and things like that, and we're making ourselves more intolerant to some of these things just because we cut them out completely, and then we're blowing up bathrooms all over town because we had some birthday cake with some people at work. And what do y'all think about intentionally having the pretzel crisps once a week or something instead of going, okay, now I'm more Whole 30-ish and I'm going to eat Whole 30-ish as long as I can?
I don't know. I've been listening to a lot. I've been catching up a little bit, and I skip around based on titles on Kiefer's podcast. And I was listening to one the other day, and he was basically He was basically saying that artificial sweeteners are okay, especially sucralose, and there's no evidence. And he's clearly a really really bright guy, or does a lot of research and all that. So it's really kind of hard to dispute. But it flies in the face of the traditional. Clean eating. I mean, he's eating whatever he really wants. In many cases, these fried apple pies and all these kind of things when he does his binges. And sometimes I just think that that's just a filter that I'm about ready to eliminate. Not because I don't believe that he's got a point, but just because it confuses me. I would just because I can't imagine. He also says there's no reason to eat vegetables at all unless it's a delivery vehicle for butter. I don't know that I buy that. I buy the butter part, but I don't buy that vegetables are useless. And so I look at that, and I've decided that he's probably a good filter for somebody, but maybe not me. That's just my point. It just confuses me.
yeah, I've never actually uh, read or heard anything from him other than anything that Carol has talked about on the show or you have talked about on the show, Jack. So I really don't have too much of an opinion on it.
Caroline, what do you think about intentionally having something that wouldn't agree with what you would normally eat just so that you don't build intolerances to things?
I don't really go for that. I don't
Okay.
really go for it at all. I feel like you should be giving your body the most nutrient dense diet that you can the majority of the time. I mean, if you fall off the wagon once in a while,
Right.
but I wouldn't go for intentionally seeking out rubbish food just for the hell of it, so that you didn't become, sensitive to it. To me, that doesn't carry a lot
Yeah.
of weight.
Well, I just feel like I kind of agree with you in that there are going to be opportunities frequently enough that I might say my niece's pecan pie is worth it. It's not like I feel like I'm ever going to be eliminating everything forever anyway. So
Well,
while I kind of agree with his science, I feel like this guy is so bright that if you
right.
can hack to that degree and get your insulin levels to a certain degree and intentionally do a spike, if you can do that, go for it, because the science is probably right. But what that does to me psychologically about
Mhm.
the overall way of what I'm eating, the
Yeah.
trade-off is not there for me. What were you
But
going to say,
Carol,
Jack? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me, it's kind of like exposing your kids to, chicken pox when their neighbor friend has it, so that they go ahead and get them and get it over with, and they build up some sort of an immunity to it. That was very common back in the day. And I don't know about you, but if I have a friend that's got the flu, I don't rush over to make sure that I get it. And just so that I build up an intolerance. So I build up a tolerance because I've had it for the year. I stay away from it, and
Right.
if I get it, I get it. And you know what? It's too bad if I get it. So I look at intentionally exposing myself to bad things just so that I don't build up some sort of a intolerance to them. I don't know about that. I don't. By the way, I don't dispute the science, at all. I'm just saying that for me, I just think trying to do is do what Caroline said is there's no risk in that, right? What's the risk in trying to eat as good as you can, as often as you can, acknowledging that you're going to have your lapses every now and then. Don't beat yourself up and get back on the wagon the next day. That seems so much more sane, not to steal a term, but then
Jonathan Baylor.
than intentionally going on a bender just because I haven't had bad food in a while.
Yeah. I
That's
actually,
ridiculous.
And for
uh,
a bunch of people, when they intentionally go on a bender, okay, this is the first step on a slippery slope. Here I've stepped over, okay, so I've done it once, so why can't I do it again? And do it again, and all the hard work that they put in before is now going down the pan, because here, it was okay to do it once, so it must be okay to do it again. It's a mentality thing. It's not for me, that's not a good mindset.
yeah, I could see that slippery slope. Like you mentioned, I could see that being a situation for a lot of people where if your carb night, your 4 hour window of having carbs could turn into a carb afternoon, and then a carb day, and then a carb day after carb night, and just eventually just a carb year. It just seems like it could evolve into that if you don't watch it, and a lot of people, it might not be the best way to go. Starting maybe, like you said, maybe later down the road you can introduce this kind of stuff, but first I wouldn't. It just seems to it just seems to reinforce older habits that people need to get rid of before they start.
Well, see, that's interesting, because I think the three of you guys and me to a certain degree too, the whole thing is a journey, right? And so you're learning more about yourself. We have plenty of people in our community who are doing carb night and have been doing it for a long time and are experiencing great success. And it's that they respond differently. They can have a carb night and it doesn't affect them mentally in a bad way, in a negative way. Everybody is different. So it's just interesting to me. I think the whole thing is about sticking with it and figuring out how you respond to a certain protocol, how you respond to a certain way of eating, what it does for you mentally. Just like you were saying, Jack, it's more than just the food and the weight loss. You're learning about yourself. And so I give props to all the carb night people that are having success and carb backloading people, because I do agree with the science, but just for me, it's not right now it's not the best protocol.
Well, I was thinking, Carol, about, you've done them almost in an indirect way. You've almost done them back to back, right? So you were doing carb night and all that, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name that Jeff Fry, you were working with, and he was helping you on your nutrition and all that. And so you have that as a frame of reference.
And
and now you have Whole30 as a frame of reference, and just compare them. And if you go back to if you listen to Rob Wolf or read his, he measures everything against do this and then assess. How do you look, feel, and perform? It's 3
right.
bullet points: look, feel, and perform. And I would ask you, how did you look, feel, and perform when you were on carb night versus how did you look, feel, and perform when you were eating clean on Whole30? And I'm not comparing them like in a battle. I'm just saying for the individual, it could vary, right? Somebody could do carb night and say, you know what, I feel better than when I was doing paleo or when I was doing Whole30. On the other hand, someone else might say, well, you know what, it's just not for me or whatever. I don't know. What do you think?
I
You have them
totally
both to
agree.
compare.
I totally agree because carb night was super effective for me to lose weight in a very scientific, tracking, hacking kind of way. But where I was in my life, it wasn't. It worked then, and it may work again once I'm done with my master's and this certification, and I'm not in such a. You know what I'm saying? Different times in your life, you're ready for different things. And so there were pros and cons to both. And right now, eating like this, even though it's not going at such a fast pace, I'm happier in general because of other things, not the science. The science is there. I just can't do it right now. The carb night.
Right,
I
and
like the idea of carb night. I wish I didn't think it was I like the idea of holding out till every Friday and going nuts. It sounds really awesome to me. But I think for me it would be the beginning of the end of
yeah,
because it would just turn into carb week.
yeah. I think I would be in a similar situation. Kind of like you said, you look forward to it, and then you look too much forward to it and start a little early, and then I feel like after the fact, I'd probably hate myself for 2 or 3 days for doing it, and then it, like Carol said, it's just kind of your mental state, one versus the other. So I think I like this. I haven't done the carb night, but I feel like I would. I don't feel like I would do very well on it.
Well, there
but
you go. There you go. And this is working for you. So why would you even try it?
right,
It's
And
right,
so part of the Whole30 thing was it was kind of training you to break some of those cravings for those bad foods that you had. So it kind of would go against that whole carb night thing where you were, every Friday or whatever, you were once again reintroducing that craving for those bad foods. That's why I'd asked somebody else that had done the Whole30. I said, I can't believe that I'm not having cravings for all the sugar and all the chips and everything else I used to have. And she said, go ahead and have a cookie or something once, then you'll start having the cravings again. It'll build up again, and you'll start craving again. So for me, I'd rather not even go there because I feel like if I go there, then it's not for me. I just don't even want to go there.
Okay, so I'm going to read something from Anna Kokorillis because we need to wrap up, and I want y'all's response to this. And I think, okay, so she emailed me on January 22nd. Then, and this is somebody who's been a listener to our show for a long time, and Anna is a hacker like us, high fat, low carb, but she's got her head in the game, and she's been doing it for a couple of years for varying degrees of success, like me. We're twins. And so she wrote me because I hadn't heard from her for a while, and she'd been listening to some of the shows in January. And she says, Carol, I just felt compelled to write you since listening to your latest podcast, which are fabulous, by the way. Those are me and you, JT, at the beginning of the year saying, we're going to get back on track. We're trying this Whole30 thing. Okay, this week I'm ending my 2-year journey with low-carb, high-fat diet. I don't think my body is meant for it. All the high fat is also high calorie, and I have not lost weight. I have not lost the weight that I wanted to lose. I'm 5'2", 135 pounds, and I've struggled with the same 10 pounds for about 4 years. I lose them and gain them all the time. My goal weight is 125. I am going back to a lower calorie diet and will try to hit the gym at least 3 times a week. I've learned a lot about food these last 2 years. One thing I appreciate is that I have learned to eat a lot more non-starchy vegetables. From now on, I will no longer be afraid of carrots, though, or peas. And I might even put some corn on my salad. She put LOL. But I'm going to stay away from sugar. I will not count calories, but I want to be conscious of them. I do think calories matter, and I'm going to try to keep them low but reasonable. I will keep you posted on my weight loss attempts and see if I win this 10-pound battle. So then Anna and I wrote back and forth. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 20 days into this Whole30, and we hadn't posted. We hadn't talked about that on the show yet. I said, but it's really changing my relationship with food. And so then Anna says, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go read a little bit more about Whole30, and I'm going to consider it because maybe it's more about the quality of the food that I'm having, and I want to start listening to my body too. And so I haven't checked back in with her, but she told me use whatever you want for your show. Read this whole thing or not or whatever. I just find this very interesting that we hadn't talked about any of this yet, but there's somebody kind of like that on Jack's track of high fat, low carb, but she's more closer to her goal weight, and that particular protocol, maybe it's because she's not sticking to it, or maybe it's because it doesn't agree with her or whatever. She's kind of going, okay, maybe I should try a Whole30. Do y'all think that this would help her in some way?
Yes.
Okay. See you later. Thanks for that. No, I know. There was a lot there. Like, she's been trying years to be more hacking.
Yeah,
Right.
I think the
But it's obvious it's not worked,
For whatever reason.
right?
Whether it's
So
not that
it's
she's...
time to change it.
yeah, I think definitely, like Caroline said, it's just time to try something new, even if it's not the Whole30. Anything new would almost be worth a shot at this point, because she's been doing this style for 2 years, and it may have worked to some extent, but it hasn't worked to the extent that she'd like it to. So maybe the Whole30 would be a good thing. Maybe, like she mentioned, the higher calorie, higher fat foods, maybe if she kind of reduced those a little bit. And the Whole30 focuses a lot on vegetables, as opposed to what Jack was saying about Kiefer saying no vegetables. I think that was Kiefer he said, right?
Right.
But it focuses a lot on vegetables. I think the kind of meal planning deal is about a palm-sized portion, about the size of just your palm of protein, and then fill the rest of your plate with vegetables, which, if you, depending on the size of your plate, obviously, but most plates are about the same size, that could be a ton of vegetables.
It is a ton of vegetables.
And, some days, I know I didn't meet that goal most days, but I was still eating, pretty good bit of vegetables, because I know I'm like, if I fill this plate with, broccoli and cauliflower and that kind of stuff, I'm gonna be rolling back to the bedroom. I'm gonna stuff myself and not be able to move. But usually did follow somewhat closer to it. But
Interesting. I found one thing, Jack, when you asked what we got out of this, along with what TJ just said, I have had, just like Anna said, I've had, and I haven't had this kind of stuff in like a year, carrots. I had a banana a couple of times. I did try to keep that stuff in the evening, because I think the science is there about the carbs later at night being beneficial. So fruit, that I hadn't had fruit for a while, again, I tried to do that in the evening, but lots of vegetables like carrots and peas and things that, I tried to stick with mostly leafy greens, that I'm not going to worry about how much broccoli, cauliflower, all that kind of stuff. It didn't make me put on a bunch of weight like I was scared of before. In fact, I lost weight over the month.
yeah, I know a few days in you said, I had a piece of fruit for dinner.
Oh
What's
my
the
God,
word?
and
Thank
the
you.
world didn't collapse around me.
I think one of the things that's interesting about her question is that, and I remember when you first showed me the Whole30 thing, is that I think that the lines start to get blurred when you get into paleo or primal or clean or whatever, and then you start to hear the stuff about the macronutrients and fat, and then next thing you know, Carol, you're making fat bombs and you're traveling with MCT oil like I do, when I didn't even know what it was 2 years ago. And
Right, you
and
freak.
and that's a little, and I look at her and I go, if she does Whole30, at least I didn't do it, but when I read the shopping list and I bounce to their website, there's nothing about it that seems to be overly obsessed with getting more fat, like a Jimmy Moore, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying it just seems to be kind of straight up logical, nutritional, with no particular bias towards any one macronutrient. Just eat good, real food and don't put poison in your body and you'll be fine. And so I think for her, it seems like it would be a good place to go when she's been doing the high fat thing and she doesn't think it's been kind of working for her. It seems like a pretty, you asked the question, did I think it would help? I mean, I think it would be a good template. Why not? I mean, it's clean, it's good food, and they're not telling you to, eat a spoonful of coconut oil or whatever. I mean, stuff like that.
Okay, one other quick question, just mainly for TJ and Caroline, with all honesty. Do you think Jack would benefit from not weighing himself for 30 days?
I saw it as a pretty big benefit for myself. Like I said, it was a confidence thing. Whenever you notice other things, if you're too focused on the scale, you're only seeing that number. And then
we're talking about Jack.
And then
I'm kidding, TJ, of course.
If you're like I said, you notice those smaller things that you might not notice if you're paying attention to that number. You might notice that your pants are sagging a little bit more today or something like that, or maybe you went longer throughout the day without your getting tired or something like that. It's just other keys that
other things
I think are more important, I guess.
Other measurements, absolutely. Caroline?
So I'm going to be the devil's advocate because I think I'm more like Jack. I need to know what that scale says. And so when we were doing the whole 30, I was also on that challenge, that other challenge where we did need to weigh ourselves every Friday and send our measurement, our weight in. And so to me, I feel like if I don't know what the scale is saying, then it's a downhill slope again. I need to know. For me, it's like something I need to hold on to. I need to know what that is, and I don't know. I know that's for some people that's not a good thing, but for me that is a good thing. And once I stop looking is when pounds come back on. So I need to know. So
thanks, Caroline.
If I was going to do the whole 30 again, I would weigh myself still. I would still keep weighing myself, and I wouldn't start every day new like I cheated. I'd still eat the same and carry on with the whole 30 because I do think it's a mostly sensible diet. But yeah, I would weigh myself.
I know, and Jack, I only give you such a hard time about it because I'm right there with you and with what Caroline said. And the interesting thing was for me, even going to once a week was a huge issue. Like, I'm going to lose so much ground in the next 7 days if I cannot weigh myself more frequently. And so I've not gone back, and but I'm still doing just once a week. But I would really like to get to a point. I totally agree with y'all that I need the speedometer. I want to get to a point where I don't need that speedometer. I want to get to a point where other things are helping me instead of that damn scale. So I guess that's where I would still like to try to do the challenge of, like TJ saying, how do we get to a point where we don't need it? But Jack's point, I think, is it's not an unhealthy relationship I have with the scale. I just can't break up with her. I just need her, and it's super healthy or not unhealthy. Right, Jack?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't particularly like the speedometer. I'd like to drive as fast as I want, right? I mean, which is the same thing with the scale, but I use it to. It's an accountability tool. It's like it just reins me in a little bit, and the more frequently you do it, I mean, then the less likely you are to come off the rails. Is the kind of the way I look at it.
So you don't have a bad day, even though it could be a fluctuation from sodium or anything. You don't have a bad day when you step on it and it's a pound or two up versus down.
It doesn't ruin my day at all, but I will tell you this: it modifies my behavior. I'm like, damn, I'm like, damn, I'm up 2 pounds. I better watch what I do today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I better drink more water, I better lay off the salt, whatever I think it is. And so to me, it's just like guardrails. Every day I'm getting direction. It's like, well, oh, that's cool. And then occasionally it goes down, and I'm like, yeah, something's working. So I don't really feel like it. I mean, if I go up, I don't sulk around all day, and you
Oh,
know,
I do.
um, but I do look at it and say, well, what did you do yesterday that would cause that? And I ask myself questions. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm trying to find out but I don't pack it and travel with it, Carol.
Okay, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore, but I'd like to, but I know it's freaky. Okay, so Anna, your girlfriend Anna Vicino, not your girlfriend, but we both really like their show, the No Sugar, No Grades show, and we both like Anna Vicino, and she was on the show. And she wrote me the other day. I wrote her and told her I'm still only weighing on Fridays, but we do want to go to this longer challenge she challenged us with. And she was like, oh, my God, that's so great. Every Friday is such an improvement of over where you were. But I'm telling you, you can do without it. I know when I've gone overboard. I know that. And I don't need a scale to tell me that. And there's other things that, but I mean, I think, like you're saying, Anna knows that I'm at a place that's not healthy with the scale. And it does ruin my day because she's been there before. And so that's what she's trying to show me, is it's okay to have measurements that change your behavior, and the scale is not the most accurate one, but it's, I don't know. We got, that's a whole other show, right?
Yeah, I think going back to your original question, if I thought it would be a good thing for Jack to not use it, I guess I wasn't thinking so much about his particular situation, because now that he's explained it a little better, it seems like his isn't more of a negatively affecting, kind of like, you mentioned a lot of people, they'll step on the scale and they're up 2 pounds and they just throw the towel in and they go eat a whole cake kind of thing. They're like, well, I'm already up, why not? But Jack doesn't have that problem. So honestly, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing to keep at it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not.
there you have it.
There you have it. It's fine. Keep the scale. I'm going to send you a travel scale so you can get.
Been nice talking. Before anybody changes their mind, it's been nice talking with you guys.
All right, I'm sorry. We should go because we kept y'all too long. Do y'all have any closing thoughts for anybody thinking about doing it out there?
Yeah, try it. Try it.
You think
I
so,
agree.
Caroline? Try it?
Absolutely, try it. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna try it even with the scale, just for the heck of it, after the weight loss challenge, just because I don't want to be kind of rationalizing. It's worth it. I mean, it's not that much different than what I'm doing, and so I don't see it as being that painful. And so
Awesome.
I'll give it a shot and see what happens.
Jack, do you know
Without
what I
the
did for
weigh-in?
the first?
Sorry. What, TJ?
What I did for the weigh-in challenge, I just had my wife weigh me and send in the thing for me every week. I don't know if you have somebody that you could have do that.
We only have 2 more weigh-ins for the yeah.
Oh, you're right. That thing's almost over. Wow.
I know. Awesome. That is one thing I should throw in there, is all of us maybe not Susan, but the weight loss challenge has us drinking a ton of water, getting more sleep, eating a vitamin, having a vitamin, eating more vegetables. There's all these things that you get points for. So it's not all about this shopping list. I think one of the big benefits for me was completely changing some of my habits for that first 30 days of the year. But again, I just want to give props to that as well. I don't know.
Now you asked, if we thought people should do it, and I think absolutely yes, but I feel like we may have also been sugarcoating it a little bit the entire show, because the first week or so you do have, did you guys see any side effects, I guess you could say, like negative things happening to your, like for me, example, the first couple of days I had a headache, and then actually the entire week 2, I think, I had almost a steady tinge headache. Like it wasn't like a huge migraine or anything, but I had this headache that just kind of persisted the entire day for probably about 5-6 days. Did you guys experience anything like that?
I didn't have anything like that. The only thing in the beginning that, and I guess you're not supposed to focus on this because we've talked about this, but the only thing I found like in the beginning was, my goodness, I'm denying myself so much here because I was so obsessed with sugar. and junk, junky stuff. I just wanted to eat it, and I was so obsessed. And I felt like, well, I'm denying myself so much, but the scale's not moving at all. And so then I felt like, well, you know what? This is why they don't want you to weigh yourself, because you don't lose any weight. And there was a period where I felt like that, but by the third and fourth week, it was not like that at all. All the cravings had gone, and everything was going in the right direction. So
Right. Yeah, and I know it did a lot to my willpower, personally, because a lot of times, I work in an office with a ton of people, and a lot of times you walk in, there's, the cake donut kind of treats, and you just think, well, it's just today, and then tomorrow somebody brings something else in, and you're like, it's just today, and then you end up doing that a few times a week, and I passed that stuff up many, many times over, especially here in the South. I'm not sure how far it reaches upward, but the Mardi Gras season is accompanied by king cakes, which if anybody is not familiar with a king cake, it's basically like I guess you could call it a cinnamon roll covered in icing, covered in sugar. And when I say sugar, I mean there's just literally sugar poured on top of this roll. And we had plenty of those. And normally I like the king cakes, and normally I would go for, even if it's just a smaller slice, I would go for one. But I avoided probably 10 or so of them this month. But this last week, I will have to put a caveat there. This last week, somebody had one. And I said, you know what, Mardi Gras is, at the time of recording, Mardi Gras is in, 2 or 3 days. And I was like, well, the king cake season's going, it's almost gone, so I'm going to get one while it's still here. There was a little piece, a smaller piece than I probably would have normally gotten, which is a good thing, and in the break room at work, and I ate it, and I think I texted Carol almost immediately and said, I just got the most ridiculous headache from this thing. Like, I wasn't even done eating it, and I had this ridiculous headache just because I probably just ate half a cup of sugar.
I know. When he said, have you tried a king cake? I was like, uh-oh, why is he asking me?
What happened?
I know. It is. It really is. The interesting thing is I don't feel like I need willpower anymore, but I think I will if I go down that road. So I don't want food to have that much control over me, but right now I feel like I have more control over the food. So
right. I think that was the biggest thing I took away from this, is being able to tell that cake no.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna say real quick that if we're gonna have in the show notes the ways that you can connect with us, and there's all these challenges, the ones we're talking about. I mean, this is how we got started with this. So I don't have the actual number for this show, but it's going to be at Fat2FitHQ.com. Fat, the number 2FitHQ.com should be /121. It's either going to be 120 or 121, but I'm pretty sure we have the Jen's Jaunters show that I have to record some stuff and put on that, and that's episode 120. This is episode 121. But here, if you're watching it on YouTube, it takes about a week or so to get the actual podcast out. So if you're listening in audio, I want to thank people who are putting on iTunes reviews. That is that is just something that really, really helps the show. So I'm going to read real quick an iTunes review. We got 5 stars by Hammer Jammer 1, and I think I know who this is. Back to Basics. He put, great show, Carol and JT. They continue to bring a great message to folks. You both are warriors in the battle. Keep your ruck straps tight and your eyes on the trail ahead. So that is Hammer Jammer. He's doing he is our commander for our John Ellis Sr. He is our commander for our Tough Mudder that we're doing in October in Las Vegas. And, just come to Fat2FitHQ.com and you'll find links on how to connect with us in MyFitnessPal. Thanks again, Hammer Jammer, for the iTunes review. That really helps us. You'll find links to these show notes with the things we're talking about, ways to connect with us personally in MyFitnessPal. And thank you very much to Anna Kokorillis and to Susan Hall for sharing your experiences and letting us put them out there. Thanks, TJ, for suggesting the Whole30, and Caroline, thanks for doing it. And you were ahead of us, so you're an incredible support always. And JT, for your always, always inspirational way of living. Seriously.
Thank you guys. It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And
If
I
I
don't
could,
know if I let everybody give a closing thought, because of course I derailed us from something TJ said. Jack, you want to say anything?
Well, this is not going to probably be real popular, Carol, because I know, I was thinking more about this whole idea of all these different things that we talk about, and I just come back to that menu that I still look at. I'm looking at it on my phone, the shopping list, and I go, what could possibly be wrong with trying that? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And so, I just say that people should give it a try, because I don't see the downside other than a headache and some dreams, some bizarre dreams. But other than that,
Yeah, and the first 10 days really were hellish, but it's for like what y'all are saying, that cravings and stuff. So once you're past that, if somebody would have told me I was going to feel this good and all these benefits, you'd gladly go through 10 days of that.
right? So I just say, give it a try. Why not?
Awesome.
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Jack. Even though I have done it, I'm gonna say before I had the same kind of mentality before I did it. I looked at it, I'm like, well, why the heck not, kind of thing, and that's what made me do it, and it's been great. And like I said, if you go to the Whole30 website, they have a ton of resources if you're not sure about it, but it's pretty simple to follow. And honestly, one of the people think diets have to be crazy complicated with the different foods you have to cook, and I happen to myself personally, I just wanted to try some new stuff, so I made a menu for the entire month, and beforehand, and followed it somewhat closely, and but it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to cook something new every night. If you go to, you go somewhere and buy a huge pack of chicken breasts and a giant tub of salad, and you can just eat that a ton of times. Just grill that up and eat that a bunch of times, and that's basically your entire Whole30 menu right there. If you can stand to eat things multiple times like that. But I know some people don't like to, but it doesn't have to be difficult and complicated.
That's what I loved about it too. Like Caroline cooks, you obviously cook. I don't. I didn't eat chicken breast and salad every day, but I grilled vegetables, made some soup, some vegetable soup, and I changed it up, but it was very easy to do as far as what you can choose
Right.
from.
Right, because it's a ton of things. I guess technically it's a restriction diet, but it's not very restrictive when you get to looking at that shopping list, like Jack said.
Yeah.
You
can
see
have
all the things you
clarified butter.
can
You can
have.
saute things. You do a
Yeah.
lot.
Don't look at the stuff you can't have. Look at the things you can have,
Right.
and use that as your deciding factor.
Right. Like Caroline, don't focus on everything that you're cutting out. Oh my God. No, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. I love it. Okay, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining and for helping me through this, and for you guys, you're a big inspiration to a lot of people, so we appreciate you and everybody in our community, because there are folks out there who are really starting to have success with the hacking and the lower carb and the carb night and stuff, and we have a ton of people in our community that can support you in that. It's not about what protocol is better than others. It's about let's all just keep trying to figure out what's best for us. So
All
thanks,
right.
guys. All right, we'll talk to y'all
Bye.
later. Thanks,
Happy
guys.
Valentine's.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, Valentine's. Bye. Bye.
Carol, if I could add something real quick.
Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no problem. I should have said it a minute ago. Now, if Jack is wanting to actually start one up in the 2 weeks after this challenge that we're doing right now, we could host another one of those on the Fat2Fit MyFitnessPal community.
That would require that Jack actually check in and come to the MyFitnessPal community on a regular basis.
I'm on MyFitnessPal every day. I just don't go to the
Community part of
the
it.
community part of it
But
because I check in with my scale every day.
There you go. He doesn't need it. No, anybody who wants to start a challenge, you're so right, TJ, because anybody who wants to start any kind of challenge, that's a place to do it, and you usually find a couple other people that'll do it with you. So we would totally do it with Jack and any listeners at any point. It doesn't have to start on the first day of a month either. It can go from the 15th of this month to the 15th of the next month. And that goes for anything. We do water challenges, walking challenges, sleep challenges, everything. So great point, TJ. Okay. All right. So longest
right.
show ever. I
Bye,
love
y'all.
it.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
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 Thanks.
Bye.